All right, man, peace. Hey, brothers, remember when you were a little boy and you'd be acting up at the park or in the department store with your mother and she'd get frustrated with your hijinks? What would she say? She'd say, you go ahead and keep on messing around. I'm going to tell your daddy. Why would she say that? Because she knew that your daddy had a little bit more clout than her. He instilled a little bit more fear than she did. And sometimes she had to utilize that mechanism to get your ass back in line. Well, Kyrie Irving is starting to realize that he's not the daddy of the locker room. He's the mommy. And the daddy of the locker room is LeBron James. That's why he's trying to use LeBron James as a prop to get his troops back in line. Because strangely enough, it's very apparent that even Kyrie Irving's own teammates respect LeBron James and his aura more than they respect Kyrie. And Kyrie realizes that. So now he's trying to utilize a different strategy to bring his teammates back in line. And I also believe that Kobe Bryant is behind this a little bit as well, because Kobe Bryant is the guru for Kyrie Irving. So it would not surprise me if they may have conferred on the phone and Kobe Bryant may have let Kyrie know, you've had that same issue with LeBron James. Maybe you can use that as a teaching moment for your own team. Don't be scared to reach out to LeBron and utilize that as an end sample for your own team. And maybe Kyrie heard that and said, sounds like a good idea, and did that. Who knows? But there's certainly something more that is afoot to just Kyrie Irving having a moment of humility and being willing to mend the gap between himself and LeBron James. Now, Brian Windhorst, the overweight ESPN reporter who's pretty much been following around LeBron James since he slid out of Gloria James's vagina, he knows everything about LeBron. And he's going to provide some insight into exactly how that call from Kyrie Irving to LeBron James went down. So, of course, you're going to talk about it, and I'm going to chime in.
I had to call Bron, and tell him, I apologize for being that young player that wanted to everything at his fingertips, and I wanted everything to be at, my threshold. I wanted to be the guy that led us to change. I wanted to be the leader. I wanted to be all that, and, the responsibility of being the best player in the world and leading a team is something that's not meant for many people. And
now, why is Kyrie saying that? He's saying that the responsibility of leading a team to a championship is not meant for many people. He's not talking about himself. He's talking about Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown and all these other guys who are going through delusions of grandeur as Kyrie Irving sees it. That's why he's saying that. Make no mistake about it. Kyrie's mentality is, I want to win in Boston, but I want to win my way. I'm not going to win trying to be a conventional point guard. And we're certainly not going to win with Jason Tatum as our leading scorer, because he is not a takeover level player. He just can't do that, at least not at this point in his career. Kyrie knows that he's the best player on the team, and it's really not even a close second. And when these young guys, they start having these delusions about being the best player on a championship team, he has to reel them in, because once again, he's going on 27 years old. Kyrie's at a different stage in his career than those other players. He's already been to 5-6 All-Star teams. He knows how great he is. Right now it's his time to start leading his team to championships. And he has to pull these young guys in with him who are looking for individual accolades.
And Bron was one of those guys that came to Cleveland and tried to really show us what it's like to win a championship, and it was hard for him.
It's the circle of life, ladies and gentlemen. We now welcome in Brian Windhorst, who watched the LeBron-Kyrie roller coaster.
Brian Windhorst is not buying any of this shit. You can tell, and he shouldn't. You should not be buying any of this nonsense from Kyrie. And I understand what he's doing. He's been listening to his guru, his Bengali, Kobe Bryant, and he's finally starting to let his Machiavellian wings spread. And he's also learned a lot of this from LeBron James as well.
Poster in Cleveland as closely as anyone. Kyrie's revelation that he called LeBron to apologize for his attitude when they were teammates.
His unprompted revelation, mind you. Nobody asked him about him and LeBron James, but he felt compelled to bring this up. For what reason, other than to send a message to his teammates?
That was surprising enough, but not quite as surprising as who LeBron was with when he received Kyrie's initial phone call. According to The Athletic, of all the people he happened to be sitting with, Kevin Love was having dinner with LeBron. The Cavaliers were in town. They were having dinner at a pizzeria in Los Angeles.
Oh.
Kevin Love told Joe Varden of The Athletic, LeBron looked down at his phone and showed us. He was like, I wonder what he wants. Brian.
So if LeBron was like, I wonder what he wants, that means what? That means that there's still a lot of tension between the two of them. And if there's that much tension between the two of them, why do you even have his phone number to begin with? It's very obvious that he still has his phone number because he had to maintain the facade that there was nothing wrong between himself and Kyrie, and we know that there still is. There's a lot of bitter feelings between the both of them because Kyrie knows that LeBron tried to get him traded. LeBron James knows that Kyrie Irving pretty much figured out what he wanted to do and bolted and pretty much sabotaged, or at least in LeBron James's mind, sabotaged his last year in Cleveland. So there's still a lot of enmity between those two that neither one of them are quite ready to admit to.
This is crazy.
That's
like
insane.
Then they ordered the hard liquor. Bring over the hard liquor.
We want some of that. Joe Vardanoso tweeted, he said, for Cleveland fans, this is like the worst last 2-minute report ever. It's basically saying, oh, by the way, that whole let's break up the team, I didn't really, maybe I shouldn't have been so mad.
No, not quite. That's not what it was about at all. Kyrie Irving does not regret requesting a trade. He does not regret leaving LeBron James. He would not play with LeBron James, at least I don't think, if his life depended on it. But then again, you never know what tomorrow's going to bring in the NBA. All Kyrie was trying to do was send a message using LeBron James and his previous situation with LeBron as a springboard to communicate with his teammates. But unfortunately for Kyrie, I think that it was very transparent.
Well, this was a pretty big stunner to me. I can imagine it was a stunner to LeBron. Now, LeBron, I am told...
Showed you how desperate Kyrie is, at least for his chances to maximize his opportunity to win this year. Kyrie's very desperate to get his teammates back in line.
I am told, after the conversation, felt that it was a genuine and honest conversation. He will take Kyrie at his word.
I thought it was. 100%. Was that a question?
I think that it was relatively genuine, but also Machiavellian. I think that two sentiments can be quite evident in one situation. I believe that Kyrie, it may have dawned on him, wow, this is what I was like with LeBron. And it also could be, I need to use this situation and capitalize off of it to try to reflect it on my teammates and show them what they're doing, and also appear to be humbling myself all at the same time.
I have no clue what Kyrie is doing here. I have difficulty here because Kyrie...
How could you have no clue what Kyrie is doing? It's very obvious what he's doing.
Kyrie he just does strange stuff sometimes, and I can't...
Well, he's kind of a strange dude. Kyrie is a searcher. He's looking and he's searching and he's trying to figure things out. A lot of so-called young black men are like that. They're always looking around trying to figure things out because our people have no culture. That's why you have so many different groups and beliefs and segments, because our people don't have a solidified culture that they adhere to and are willing to respect. That's why the so-called black man, especially when he's young, he's always so curious about every damn thing.
You think that wasn't genuine?
I'm lost.
Because the way...
It was genuine, but it also had a method to its madness.
The way I look at it, and maybe I'm too cynical to look at this. Maybe I've got too much scar
Ohio
tissue.
blood.
I see it as him kind of taking a jab at his teammates still.
That's all it was, or at least that's the primary reason why he did it. But I do believe that he was privy to a self-revelation about what he put LeBron James through. That's why I stated in another video, it's almost like somebody who gave their parents a hard time while they were living there as a teenager. Now they've grown and they've matured, they've had their own children, and they call their parents up to apologize, in a self-reflective moment. But also at the same time, it's meant to galvanize themselves and how they themselves are going to raise their own children.
Because he's kind of saying to his teammates, I'm LeBron now. You guys are the young, stupid kids like I was.
Absolutely. I'm the captain now.
Start paying attention to me like I should have been paying attention to LeBron. That's the way I saw it. I also thought it was strange that after the biggest win of the season for the Celtics, that Kyrie would talk about this and not about his team.
Well, he said that after the Orlando
He knew
game.
exactly what he was doing. The Celtics were like, hey, we're going to end this press conference. And Kyrie was like, no, let's keep talking about this.
Absolutely.
I don't know. Maybe I should just take it at face value and say it was great.
No. One thing life teaches is to take very few things at purely face value. There are very few things that we encounter in life that we should take purely at face value, especially when it comes to relationship dynamics between two people.
It was great maturity, but
for this man to pick up the phone and call LeBron, I think it had to be genuine.
Yeah.
Because...
Well, yeah, genuine to a degree. Genuine to a degree. But he also has something at stake in making that phone call. Because for LeBron James to say, I wonder what he wants, that's almost like LeBron James saying to himself, is this guy on his deathbed? Why would he call me?
He's looking at the guys that he's playing with. What was their expectation? Like the championship this year. People had them winning a championship this year. These guys haven't won a championship. He has won a championship with LeBron. He was that guy that these guys on his team right now, he's trying to help them understand what it takes to win a championship. And he looks back on himself. He sees himself in them. So he called LeBron, like, man, I got to call LeBron and apologize, man. Just like, I mean, when I was a badass kid and what it takes to be a father now.
Right, Tracy. I feel what you're saying, brother. But to Brian Windhorse's point, it's one thing to be sitting at your locker after a game, and in a moment of self-reflection, you say to yourself, wow, this is really what it was like with me and LeBron. This is what I must have been putting LeBron James through. And then beyond that, you go and you call him. That's the next step. And even that is understandable to a degree, even though now we're stretching it. But then to go out of your way to mention it in a press conference where you were not prompted, knowing that it was going to be propagated across every major media station, on every sports network, every sports debate show. You knew what you were doing.
Now, you're badass kids. Now get in line.
Exactly.
But no, I don't think that's it at all. I actually think, look, he is trying to be a leader, right? We have seen he's having his best season on the floor
without question.
I've ever seen him have.
Best defense ever.
We are watching him in real time learn how to be a leader. He's still in his mid-20s. Yes. It's not like he's a 30-year-old veteran. And he is learning. He called his teammates out, which he thought was the right thing to do earlier in the week. It didn't go over well. It didn't go over well in the press. Didn't go over well in the locker room. He has come back since and apologized to his teammates. He has said, I shouldn't have done that. And then he went back and called LeBron James and said, hey, this whole leading thing isn't as easy as I thought it was.
That's because Rachel Nichols, he's desperate. He's desperate. First, he went the overt route. Now he's going the covert route. But the end game is still the same. That being to manipulate his teammates by any means necessary and using whatever props necessary. He learned that from Kobe. He learned that from LeBron. And it's coming together now.
And it turns out that just like, and he made this point, if you listen to the sound, he said, I was the number 1 overall pick. LeBron comes back to Cleveland. He's like, I learned in Miami. It was my 4 years of college, and I'm going to teach you guys how to win. And he was like, screw that. I'm great. I'm Kyrie Irving. I know how to play. And that was a big cause of friction for them, even after they won a title together. And he was saying that, hey, these kids in Boston, they were like, we went to the conference finals. We were 10 minutes away from going to the NBA.
And for those of you who remember, Kyrie Irving is pretty much on record as stating that after they won their first championship in 2016, he considered asking for a trade back then. I believe that Kyrie stated that. I also believe that the GM for the Cavaliers at the time, David Griffin, also co-signed that Kyrie Irving had considered asking for a trade at that time. We all know who also considered asking for a trade from their team after they won their first championship with that team, that being Mr. Kobe Bean Bryant. So that's why, once again, I assert that Kobe's influence is somewhere involved in this.
NBA Finals, we think that we're hot, and I'm learning how hard it is to navigate all that, and I think it was genuine that he called LeBron and said, wow, I'm dealing with myself now, and I get it, it's tough.
The person to learn from in this situation to call somebody like LeBron.
I will say this, I think the fact...
Right, but he's not calling LeBron James to learn from him. He's calling LeBron James to apologize, because that's part of the narrative that he needs to be a component in this story so that he can stress to his teammates that they need to humble themselves to him. That's the point, T-Mac.
The fact that he also apologized to Jaylen Brown in this was more authentic to what needed to happen for his team in this moment. Secondly, he had an 18-assist game. Kyrie Irving had an 18-assist game is awesome. He didn't dominate the ball at the end of the game. It took him 5 games to get 18 assists his first 5 games with LeBron. So this is a different type of player. Those things, to me, I all think are great. Him trying to put himself on a higher pedestal and remind all the lower guys that I'm on this LeBron pedestal now.
That's not fair. That's not...
No, Tracy McGrady. That's exactly what he's doing. And I agree with you, Brian Windhorse. You're on point with it. The only analysts that I've seen who are on point with this Kyrie Irving situation have been Brian Windhorst, Skip Bayless, and Jason Whitlock. That's it. And you can look at Brian Windhorst's face. He got that look like, Kyrie, I'm not buying what you're selling.
I wish we could talk more about
That's bitter Ohio.
It has nothing to do with Ohio. I don't.
What?
Yeah, I don't see it as an Ohio thing or a bitter thing. I just think that he's thinking like a man. And Tracy right now is being led by his feminine mind. Oh, that's so great. Kyrie called up LeBron and they patched things up. And no, bro. No. There's a lot to this. And it has very little to do with Kyrie truly being concerned about getting back in LeBron's good graces or humbling himself to LeBron just for the sake of humbling himself to LeBron. It's really about trying to establish a tone for his own locker room.
What are you going to say? What? Go.
The assist that you were talking about, it took him 5 games. His role was different. It was totally different. Who dominated the ball?
I'm giving a
Absolutely. That's the best point that you've made thus far, Mr. McGrady.
compliment on his assists. That he is now a guy who could have 18 assists.
I will ask you this. If you are a Cavs fan and he left the team fell apart, and then LeBron left, and even if LeBron had left, if Kyrie was still there, it would be Kyrie and Kevin Love right now, which would be a strategy.
We're totally blowing our producer's timeline here, but my thing is, I throw a flag on LeBron there because it was LeBron, the same summer that Kyrie said, I want to be traded. LeBron could have committed to the team long term.
Absolutely, sir. Thank you for establishing proper context. Now, Dan Gilbert came to LeBron James and stated, you know what? We'll make this trade that you want us to make if you commit to us long term. LeBron James said no. So that's one of the reasons why Dan Gilbert did not want to make the trade that LeBron wanted him to make, that being getting rid of Kyrie Irving and bringing in Paul George as well as Eric Bledsoe. That trade fell through. Kyrie Irving heard about it and he said, I'm out of here. And for some strange reason, quote unquote strange reason, Dan Gilbert complied. Why is that? Because he himself was tired of LeBron James.
And they could have traded for Paul George. Now, that's a nuanced thing because
Paul George and Eric Bledsoe.
Because LeBron had issues with Dan Gilbert and he wasn't ready to commit long term. But at the same summer Kyrie said, I want out, LeBron said, I'm not ready to stay in. Mm-hmm. So when it comes to the team breaking up, it was not it's not just Kyrie's fault. It's not just LeBron's fault. It's not just Dan Gilbert's fault. All of them have that on their hands.
I mean, look, that story, that's you.
And to be quite honest with you, this whole notion about it's so important to understand why the Cavaliers broke up. Who gives a shit? That team was a blip on the radar screen. They won one championship because a bevy of things happened to the Golden State Warriors. They never won shit again. Their story about how they broke up is something that we'll see on a 30 for 30 a few years from now if this society is still around. But other than that, nobody really gives a shit why they broke up.
You've already written a book about the Cavaliers. There's probably 6 more books in there. And there's still a lot to be told with what spins out to the Lakers and what spins out to the Celtics. What did you see, though, out of that performance last night, Tracy, on the court between the Celtics and Raptors? Because, as Brian says, it was their most impressive win of the year. And Kyrie had a couple possessions where he was being defended by Kawhi Leonard. As good as I see Kawhi Leonard constantly defending.
Doesn't matter. There's no one in the history of basketball who could defend Kyrie Irving. Kyrie Irving's one of the most unstoppable one-on-one players I've ever seen.
Players, and Kyrie beat him to the hole.
Well, this is why I had these guys picked to come out of the Eastern Conference and to win the championship this year, because if they're clicking on all cylinders, because they have a lot of talent. They're the deepest team in the league. But if this guy plays the way he played and closed out that game last night, he's a closer. He's one of the best closers in that game, defended by one of the best defenders in the game. And he put on a show last night. This is why I had them picked to win the championship, because they have it all. Depth, they have a closer.
Yeah, when Kyrie has it going, there's nobody who can guard him.
They could defend, they could rebound.
You're sticking with them.
Kyrie
over the Raptors?
Over the Raptors.
Okay.
Yes.
Kyrie's.
Yeah, I'm going to stick with the Celtics right now to still make it to the finals myself. I'm not willing to change my pick for who's going to make the finals from the Eastern Conference. Not yet. Philadelphia, they look very, very good lately. Milwaukee looks great. Boston, they're up and down, but I think they have the highest ceiling. And you also have Toronto. I'm not quite sure with Toronto because their leadership to me is a little funny. Kawhi's not really a leader, and I don't trust Kyle Lowry at all.
Kyrie's value in a playoff setting, it just increases because of what he can do under pressure in the playoffs. Obviously, he hit the big shot, but he's done it He's had dozens of phenomenal playoff games under pressure. He is not afraid to take the big shot. He has not shown...
When we look at the margin of victory for those 3 games, it's only about 1.5 points. So that series can go either way. We'll see.
Shown that he can be shaken by expectations or anything. Kyrie in May and June is one of the most valuable players to have in the league. You got to go through a lot to get to May and June with him, but if you can bring him to the opportunity, he will be able to win.
With Kyrie.
I agree. I just think that Danny Ainge is going to have to make a major trade before the trading deadline. Not even necessarily for an Anthony Davis, but they have too many unhappy players who are all playing the same position, and he's going to have to relieve that pressure out of the locker room by getting rid of a couple of them.
Kyrie.
Here's what the Jump recommends.
But anyway, that's basically it on that. We'll see how things go with Mr. Kyrie Irving. That definitely was a Machiavellian strategy that he tried to use, utilizing LeBron James as a springboard. I'm sure that LeBron James sat back with his wife and also Shannon Sharp. They drank some wine and they said, you know what? This nigga Kyrie's finally starting to learn the game. But anyway, peace.